Hey everyone, I'm Kris with HFP Racing, and I am beyond stoked to be here with some amazing ladies. And I feel honored to get to do this, that we get to talk about what it means to be a female and be involved in the sports of triathlon and duathlon. So before we get started, I'm going to have everyone go around and tell a little bit about themselves, about who they are, how they got involved in the sport, how long you've been involved in the sport. So Danielle, I'm going to start with you.
Hi, I'm Danielle Smith. I have been involved in triathlon since around 2008, 2009. I started out with a small local race, and then I've been doing them off and on since then.
Awesome. Thank you. Michelle, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Slawinski. I've been doing triathlons for about 20 years. I got started with the Ohio State Triathlon Club back in the day, met my husband through that club, and now we live in Columbus. We have 3 boys, ages 8, 4, and 2, and we're still trying. It's different these days, but we're involved with the Tri-Columbus group around town, and we still stay active that way.
Wonderful. We've seen you around town. Ashley, how about you?
Hi, my name is Ashley Colonia, and this is my 3rd year in triathlon events. I started later in life after my kids got older. I'm in my 40s now and just discovering everything that's possible. So that's my start.
Wonderful. Thank you. Teresa.
Hi, everyone. I am Teresa Fontana. This is my 3rd year in triathlon. I've been a racer for many years, but 3 years ago, I started with triathlons as my kids, I have 4 children, as they've gotten older. I started my first triathlon at 58 years old. So my message is clearly going to be, you're never too old for this sport.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, Teresa. Kendra.
Yeah, my name is Kendra Bobby, and I got started with triathlon around 2007. There was a group of friends of mine who were from the Akron area, and we're like, oh, we're going to do this triathlon, and it's the Portage Lakes ones. And it was quite entertaining to do this with a big group of friends that really weren't a group of triathletes. So it was all of our first time, which made it really entertaining. I remember going to the pool one time and we all went and did like lap swimming in the pool. And anyways, I did marry one of those people from that group, so I guess it worked out for me. And yeah, I took a little bit of break, but it was just like a fun little challenge we had, and we all enjoyed it. And there's some of us still racing. So that was my introduction.
I love it. Thanks, Kendra, and congratulations on finding your partner in the sport. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, but I'm sure it has its challenges sometimes. Well, I'm Kris, and I have been involved in triathlon since 2007 as well. I don't have children, but I do. I have a career that I have spent the last 10 years traveling and trying to train on the road. And so I understand what it's like to be an athlete and have to find, a safe running space, as a single woman, and where do I find a pool and how do I get my bike there? And so I understand that aspect of it as well. And so today I think it would be really great if we talk about some of those, the things that come up for us as female athletes, whether that be professionally or personally or even internally. Like what do we think about, talk about fear? What are our anxieties? What are our successes as women? Because I feel like it looks a lot differently than it does for men. Men have their challenges, but as we start to see this sport welcome a lot more women, I want to talk about what does it look like for a woman to get involved in triathlon or duathlon. So the first thing that I really want to talk about is I think that as many of us got started in the sport, we did have fears and concerns and anxieties about doing a triathlon or a duathlon. And so I want to throw it out there. How did you overcome those fears? How do you manage those fears? And I'm not even saying those fears only exist when we first got started, because I mean, I've been doing it since '07 and I still have fears and anxieties as I start a season. And so I kind of want to throw it out there to you all. How do you manage those fears and anxieties as you enter a season or even a race?
I think probably one of the best ways, I think, to manage that anxiety and that fear is, well, first of all, race day, the actual race day, is just find ways to calm yourself, especially at the start. The sun's coming up, you're nervous. Doesn't matter if it's a long course, short course, if you're doing an Olympic or sprint, but just the anxiety before you go in the water. And I had mentioned before to some of you that, my first swim I ever did was kind of a disaster. I wasn't breathing properly and I had so much anxiety in the water, which is ironic because I grew up on an island and water is my safe, happy place up on Lake Erie. So that could have been more surprising to me. But for me, by my second one, sang songs in my head, did 100 bottles of beer on the wall, those kinds of things. So that relaxed me. But the overall anxiety before you actually get in the sport, I think for me personally, the best thing I could do was to reach out to people that had done it. I didn't, like a lot of you ladies, have a community I did it with. I was solo completely. So I did reach out to a few friends. And my first race, I went down to with an experienced athlete. And she helped me set my stuff up in transition. So I think just maybe reaching out into the community and finding at least one or two people that you could maybe meet on race day, and they can kind of talk you through it the week before. And that really calmed my nerves. That's how it worked for me.
Yeah, thanks, Teresa. I think as this sport evolves for us as females, I think there's a lot more resources out there for us than there was back when I got started in '07. There are lots of all-female triathlon groups or clubs. And really, they're not even solely triathlon clubs anymore. I mean, you can be a runner, you can be a swimmer, you can be a cyclist, or combine all of them or some of them, or I do believe that there's a lot more resources out there for us. And I agree. Having a buddy, a mentor of some sort to kind of walk you through and tell you what it's like to set up a transition, and no, you're not going to be alone out there. There's going to be people just like you on the race course. So good, thank you. Did anyone else want to add to that?
As just we were talking, like a memory popped in my head, but I remember a race director saying in a pre-race meeting that he's like looking at the crowd. It was the age group athletes. There was a separate division for the pros. And then, the rest of us, he said, you're not going to win. So roll over on your back and just take it in. And it's just that reality that most of us coming into a race, our primary goals tend to be, health and fitness. So it's keeping that in mind that that's what we're there for. And so even though you see all the bells and whistles, like if you focus on you and what you're there for, and roll on your back and relax, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're just going to be all right. You're going to get through it. And then the sense of accomplishment at the end is unlike any other. So Ashley, was that you that was getting ready?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to kind of ward off some of those fears and anxieties is just show up early, plan to be there super early, whether you want to get up that early or not. I just find it so much more relaxing to get there early. You have plenty of time to set up. You can kind of just take in what's going on, everyone who's coming in, getting organized, and then that just kind of sets you up for the rest of your race. Like you're set, you're ready to go. You'll get to the bathroom whenever you have to, and then you're set. So
That is good advice. Get there early enough to kind of get the lay of the land and get yourself settled in.
Just to kind of play off of that, each of the HFP races, I mean, I like to get there early, but if you ever get there and it's your first time, just talk to people. We love to talk about it. We love to tell you, oh, this works for me. This might work for somebody else. I mean, it's good to reach out beforehand, but even if that day, if you have no idea what's going on or something might happen with your bike, normally there's somebody there that can help you with your bike. Or I've heard over, the announcements like somebody forgot their goggles, somebody doesn't have a helmet. We all kind of come together as a community and we really try to help each other out. And so I think that's something to know going into it as well, is even the day of, go up to people, talk to them, ask them their experiences. Everyone loves to talk about their experiences. And then Michelle, you said, relax, roll over your back. There was my first race I did. I went out way too hard on the swim. Thought I was just going to go as hard as I could the whole entire time. And I ended up flipping over and literally just floating on my back for a minute to catch my breath. So it happens. So those are just, you can learn from some other people and what they've done as well. So
Yeah. Thank you. Other things, fears and concerns or anxieties.
I was going to add the bike is one of them that I usually have a little trouble with. And there usually is in the past somebody there, and I'll usually take my bike over and have them check it before the race just to make sure that everything's working and I don't have a flat tire from bringing it in or. And then with the swim, I would say at least one time before you do an open water race, get in some open water, because swimming in a pool is way different than open water. So that would be my suggestion to help with the anxiety and fear once you get in the water.
Yeah. I think for my first one, I was mostly, this might tell you a little bit about myself, but I was mostly concerned that I didn't look like a triathlete. And so my thing would be the anxiety about what do I look like, that there's room for everybody, there's just a spot for everyone. Like anyways, right? It looks like you, she looks like you, she looks like me. So I think that that's something too, is that anxiety about I don't even look like a triathlete. So yeah. I
think what's beautiful about the community is that we see beyond what people look like in our spandex, because we're all wearing those outfits. And I wish there was a different way to do the swim, bike, and run that didn't mean you had to wear all spandex. Mm-hmm. I've gotten to the point, like, when the race is over, I put on my t-shirt and I take that finishing picture and I'm not wearing my spandex. Whereas like the guys on our team, they have no problem wearing their spandex till they're packing up their equipment at the end of the race. But like, I still don't love that outfit, but I do know that it's not about what we look like. It's, I mean, we are there, we are doing something healthy, we are taking care of ourselves, and it's so much more than, what we look like in our spandex. But I can totally understand when any female or anybody says like, I just don't like to wear that. I'm like, I don't like to wear it either.
Yes, I know. Well, ladies, there's a lot of pressure that's put on us daily, whether we're moms or we're wives or we're daughters or, we're professionals. There's a lot of pressure put on us and a lot of pressure to balance these things. And you've heard me say it before. I just don't like that word balance, because I think, things get tipped out of balance sometimes. They just have to. And so with being professional women, women who are mothers, grandmothers, wives, dog moms, you travel for work, whatever it may be. What would be something that you would advise for other women? How do you manage these things? How do you get through it and show up to the start line? It's a lot.
So my line is that I'm going to be exhausted one way or another. I'd rather be exhausted and in shape and feeling good.
I love it. Yes, because it does make us feel good, doesn't it? Yeah.
I've used the line teaching fitness for many, many years, and especially when I talk to women's groups, and what I try to tell them is fitness is not a luxury. Coming to the gym is not a luxury. It is a priority. You guys can probably all agree on the days you work out, you get way more done on the days that you work out than the days you don't. So I just always get the mantra to my women, especially my young mothers, is it is a priority, not a luxury, to work out. And that's how I've tried to live most of my life.
Absolutely. I think I mentioned at the beginning that I travel for work professionally, and I get a lot of questions like, how do you make that work? And I tell them I just do, because this is important to me. You know, being active, being healthy, and because being physically active and physically healthy keeps my brain healthy too. I can show up better as a wife. I can show up better as a sister and a friend. I can show up better as a professional because I'm taking care of my body and my mind. And I think it's better for everybody. I think someone said it earlier. It's just better for everybody if I work out, if I train, if I do something active. So yeah. Anyone else about managing all of these things, juggling it all and making it work?
Yeah, I'd like to just jump in. And so I have done longer distance. I've done 70.3s, and I've also done like seasons where I'm doing shorter races. And so I think that's the nice thing about triathlon, and maybe not everyone knows that there are shorter races out there. So you don't have to do the 4 to 5 hour bike ride, where be depending on which distance you do. There's like a mini, there's the sprint, there's the Olympic, and each of those, I mean, I know my time, an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the race for a sprint, is where I'm at. And I'm pretty much, you're right in the middle of the pack age grouper. And then, there's shorter races and there's longer races than that. So I think it's a good thing for people to just be aware of, that it doesn't have to be a half Ironman or a full Ironman. And I'm at a place in my life, I just finished up with a master's program. I wasn't able to be working, doing that program and training for a long distance race at the time. That might be something I'll do again here soon, but it's really nice for me to be able to participate in these shorter races. So I think that's just something that's helpful as well when you're talking about the juggle of all the different things.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Kendra, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So I want to piggyback off of what you just said, Kendra, about there's a distance for everybody, right? And so what I'm going to throw it out to you ladies, what advice would you give to somebody, a woman who does have a lot going on in her life, but wants to get involved in sports? She sees her friends doing it, and she sees, she's watching this video right now. What's the one thing you would tell her to get started or to help her move forward in her progress?
Yeah, Kendra, I'm so happy you brought up the distances because, now with the 3 young boys, the sprint distance triathlon, which is the half-mile swim, 12-mile bike ride, 5K run, that's what I compete in now. And it's because I only train, I shouldn't say only, but like it's realistic to be able to exercise like 30, maybe 60 minutes a day if I can get that in. And yeah, I love to be able to exercise 6 days a week, but sometimes it's 5 days a week. Sometimes it's less than that. It's never more than that. So somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes, maybe 5 to 6 days a week, I can pull off a sprint triathlon. And I have to balance out my cardio. So I'll do like a swim, bike, and run, just 3 days a week of that, and then balance it out with the strength. So I still do yoga and Pilates, and that I can do a sprint triathlon like with that training. So I mean, I'm not doing 4 to 5 hour bike rides and long runs because I don't have time for that. Nor do I really want to do that because we have so many other family things that we want to participate in.
Yeah. So going back to, there's a distance for everyone for however much time you have. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people aren't even aware that there's aqua bike for the
Right.
people that can't run. You know, I have a girlfriend that's my age and she has back issues. She can't run, but she can bike and swim. So she does that. And then there's duathlon. So I think a lot of people, I know I wasn't really aware. I didn't even know what aqua bike was until I did my first try.
Mhm.
So that's an option for a lot of people. There are the lengths of race and the disciplines in there available to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I don't think I knew about those things either until I went to my first event, and I'm like, what's aqua bike? Like, it sounds like something like a Marvel comic or something. But yeah. Other words of wisdom for those who want to get started.
We're hitting on the options. Like that's what I love about triathlons is that you have so many options with swim, bike, and run. And then Kendra talked about the different distances. So you can do the shorter or longer distances. And then Teresa mentioned the aqua bike. But something else I started to do last year was relays. So I have I'm not training very, long distances, but I could do a longer bike ride and have some of my teammates from our club do the swim or the run. And, that way I could get, we participate in the race, we have all the excitement, and I get my long bike ride in, which is something I'm comfortable doing in a race setting, but not something that I want to do out on the roads.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. That's great.
Yeah, Michelle, I think that's a great point because I think that would be a great way if you were new to the sport to get, your friend runs and you got a friend that swims and you're a cyclist, to get them to come and, the three of you just give it a try as a relay. That's I think that would be a fabulous way to start our sport.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that triathlons have that the other sports don't. Because I mean, if it's running, it's y'all got to run, and if somebody's not a runner, but they are a swimmer, now we have something that is a little bit more for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's great. Well, I want to wrap it up by I love this part of it because this is my favorite part, is what is the one thing that keeps you coming back? What's the joy in the sport that just keeps you coming back for more? For me, it is that sense of accomplishment, whether it be a sprint or an Olympic or a half distance or a full iron distance. For me, it is that I did this for me. I didn't do it for anyone else. And I did it. That finish line, there is nothing like crossing that finish line and feeling so good about yourself.
For me, it is hitting 60 years old and being faster than I was last season and doing longer distance than I did last season. So for me, it's kind of, I don't mean to quote Edgar Allan Poe, but rage against the dying of the light. For me, it is to really still stay young, still stay active as long as my body's going to let me, and still try to kind of feel like I'm tough at 60.
I love that. I love that you used Edgar Allan Poe because I also have a poem quote that's, "And miles to go before I sleep." So that, there's still lots of time left to do this, no matter what age you are. There's room for everybody. Who else?
I agree with you both about, there's still lots of time left. I started this way late in life and never thought I'd be doing what I do now. And I tell you what, every time I go to a race, I'm like, why am I up this early doing this crazy thing? And then I cross that finish line and I'm like, okay, when's the next one? I'm going to sign up again. I don't know. There's something about just going through hard stuff and like pushing yourself and then knowing you did it and it just motivates you to just want more out of it.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like there are seasons where I say I want to do better than the last time, or I want to be better in the bike this year than I was last year. But then there's also seasons where I think, because of what I'm going through in my life, I just want to do it. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it. I'm an endurance athlete. I'm enduring life. I'm enduring challenges. I'm overcoming them, and I'm here with my sisters in sport, and we have such a wonderful support system among us females. And not to overquote, but it takes a village sometimes. We have to support each other, whether it be, sharing babysitting duties or car rides to and fro, or I forgot my gels. Do you have any extra gels you can bring me this morning? But I really do believe that the support system is part of it too, that we understand each other. We understand, sports bras and body image issues and, mom guilt and training guilt, not making a training session and what that means to us on the inside. I think, and I can't tell you how many bike rides I've been on that's what we talk about, all of us females. And it's nice to just know we're not alone. We're not alone. Danielle, I didn't get to you. What's your joy there?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I try to keep an active, healthy lifestyle, and I always have to have a goal. So doing the races, it's like I have my goal, and then I do that race, and then there's the next race, and it just helps keep me going, and it makes it more fun. Because if you don't have for me, if I don't have something to train for, I'm just kind of randomly figuring out what.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I get it. It's like it's better to have a roadmap than not have a roadmap, right? And you have a destination, then you can follow the roadmap to get there.
Yeah, I think of the race as the spark to keep me going. So, I know that I need cardio training for my health. And when you have swim, bike, and run options, you have more options on rainy days, or to give your body a break from one form of exercise, you have another option. So it's so good for your health. But even knowing it's so good for your health, you need that motivation or that spark to keep you going, which you get from a race.
I love that. It is a spark, isn't it? It's like a fire that burns within almost.
Yeah. I mean, and I like a lot of people, like, I want to be healthy, but like when the alarm clock goes off and, you have to put in, just that time, it's exhausting, but there's so much return.
Absolutely.
Michelle, to kind of tap on what you just said too, from a fitness perspective, being a fitness instructor, I train a lot of runners, and over time, one of my gals I train, she's done 22 marathons, and I'm like, you've got to start cross training. Your body needs some more cross training. That repetitive motion it's going to rear its ugly head someday. So that's one thing that's just fabulous built in with triathlons is you are forced to cross train.
Or, what about when it's crappy weather outside? It's nice to be able to go into a pool or downstairs to ride your bike on the trainer. So just those options make training more manageable and doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Kendra, I don't remember. Did you already say yours?
No, I didn't.
Think you did. I didn't think you did.
I was going to follow up with everyone. And I mean, the crossing the finish line is definitely one of the things. But I think something I've kind of been playing with lately is because I've kind of been doing shorter courses. I'm a little bit competitive with myself. And so I'm able to do a couple races within a year. So it's not just like I have this big one that I'm training for, but there's several throughout. And so that's kind of fun. And it's hard to kind of compare each one of them, but because I've done some of these races before, I'm like, I'll look back at my times. And it's really, from my first time to my second time of doing portage lakes, I dropped like a ton of time off of my race. And it's just you know, that little competitive part I have inside of me. And I'm really doing it for me. It's not, I mean, I'm a little bit competitive with the people on the course, but really it's just all about myself, getting myself to a better place. And so I think that's, and then you cross that finish line and you're just proud of yourself. So that's what mine is.
I love it. I have that internal competition as well. It's, you know, and I try to say to myself, not everything is a competition. Like it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Okay, ladies, this has been really great. I want to just quickly summarize what we talked about. We, first of all, it's great to be a woman in this sport. We have a great community. And there are lots of joys that come with being active and crossing the finish line and feeling that spark. But there's also obstacles as well, but they are, we can overcome them, and we can overcome them together and feel that sense of accomplishment. We're women, we're strong, and if we put ourselves out there, we're going to pretty much do it anyways, because that's just who we are as women, right? So again, this has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you all for being open, being present, being vulnerable about this topic. I know this conversation is going to provide other women some comfort in knowing that they're not alone, in feeling what they might feel about the sport and getting started, and maybe some of the things that they are trying to overcome within it. We're not alone, and it's good to know that we're not alone. So thank you so much for doing this with me, and I can't wait to see you all out on the course this summer, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you at the races.